of each season from us,
causing untold suffering that could have been prevented.
I am afraid.
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid. What are we being taught?
What are they teaching us?
Economics, literature, math, engineering, history, music.
What meaning do they hold if our climate swallows this whole?
I can be courageous.
I can be courageous.
I can use my voice and passion, keep fighting even on the days it feels hopeless.
I can fight for my people.
I can hold on to the beauty we still have.
I can save our land against this man-made havoc.
I can be a voice for the sky, the soil, and the sea.
I can make a good future for our next generation.
I can stand up even when it feels easier to sit down.
I can love my brothers and sisters and protect their lives. Because we have the same mother, the great Mother Earth.
I can be louder than polluters that try to silence life.
I can and lead others around me to do better.
I can ask my teacher to make climate.
I can ask my teacher to make climate a class.
I can ask my teacher to make climate a class.
Welcome to the Worldwide Teach-In on Climate and Justice.
Bienvenue à la conférence mondiale éducative sur le climat et la justice.
Bem-vindo ao encontro participativo global sobre clima e justiça.
Today, we are coming together globally to share our concern for the climate crisis, for climate justice, and to find solutions. We understand that carbon pollution is causing the planet to heat up. We see the fires and floods, the droughts and crop failures. This teach-in will help us all move from despair about this to determination together to change the future. Why climate and justice? Global warming is profoundly unjust. People in low-income communities are already suffering the most as the planet heats up. In the last year, tens of millions of people have been forced to leave their homes by climate change, more refugees than from conflict and violence combined. We can stop this. We can stabilize the climate, and in doing so, create jobs and opportunities for all in a new green economy. What will it take? Our hard work and the courage to face it.
It's not.
Climate change, it's pretty close to home for South Carolina.
The UK's wettest February on record to raging wildfires in California.
These winds died down. This fire is unstoppable.
Ferocious fires scorch terrain as earth
Water
heats.
shortages forcing more than 13 million people to have to boil their water before they can use it. Marcus Moore.
Can take
our children to an irreversible nightmare,
taking the beauty of each season from us,
causing untold suffering that could have been prevented.
I am afraid.
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid. What are we being?
Welcome to the worldwide teach-in on climate and justice.
Bienvenue à la conférence mondiale éducative sur le climat et la justice.
Bem-vindo ao encontro participativo global sobre clima.
Today, we are coming together globally to share our concern for the climate crisis, for climate justice, and to find solutions. We understand that carbon pollution is causing the planet to heat up. We see the fires and floods, the droughts and crop failures. This teach-in will help us all move from despair about this to determination together to change the future. Why climate injustice? Global warming is profoundly unjust. People in low-income communities are already suffering the most as the planet heats up. In the last year, tens of millions of people have been forced to leave their homes by climate change, more refugees than from conflict and violence combined. We can stop this. We can stabilize the climate, and in doing so, create jobs and opportunities for all in a new green economy. What will it take? Our hard work and the courage to face it.
It's not really.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Climate change, it's pretty close to home for South Carolina.
From the
city
UK's
of
West
Charleston
February on
flooded
record to raging wildfires in California.
Hello, my name is Danielle Denis. I'm professor at WWTIBrasil, Brazil, and welcome to the Worldwide Teaching Day. We are talking here about the opportunity of circular bioeconomy to bring solutions to the climate change and implementing fairer system. So we basically are talking about the ways of producing crops, feed, and fiber and energy from the normal monoculture to integrated systems that are safer and healthier and environmentally friendlier. And we are taking into consideration that the agri-food system is a broad and complex system that involves many stakeholders, not only the producers, but also the storage, the aggregation, the post-harvest, the transport, the processing, the distribution, the disposal, the international trade. So we're talking about a global chain that has to defend the biodiversity, and it has to be developed in a way that can first respect the protected areas. In Brazil, for example, we have forests that are not possible to be used. All properties have to respect a minimal space that has to maintain its natural vegetation. Also, we have to say that the area respect conservation measures. For example, is a protected, especially protected area, and also the interests of the indigenous people and the traditional communities that are around this space. So basically, we're talking about circular economy that uses less inputs, produces less residues, prevent water scarcity, protect the food security, mitigate climate change, are sufficient to guarantee the livelihoods of those the people that are living around the resources, and also mitigate the risks of disasters. And doing so, we have an agriculture and forestry system that are potentially a carbon farm opportunity. We can produce carbon offsetting by producing biomass. So if we plant in a specific way, plant crops and forestry, we have the opportunity to sink the carbon from the atmosphere into the soil and into the plants as well. So this is also a way to not only sequestrate carbon, but also to regenerate soils and produce more with less fertilizers. For example, we have a problem with the war now that we are getting short on fertilizers. This type of production systems can reduce the use of synthetic fertilizers as well. So the basic idea is that not only the plants themselves sequestrate carbon through photosynthesis, but also the roots are able to bring those CO2 and greenhouse gas into the soil and provide the regeneration of soil, better nutrients of the soil, and at the same time reduce the emissions of the carbon. Another important thing to bear in mind is that 20 fossil fuel producers nowadays respond to 35% of the global emissions. So we have an energy problem here, and we have to enable the transition as fast as we can. And biomass used for energy is a key aspect to this transition. So we have to increase our ability to produce biomass, to convert biomass into renewable fuel. Another point is that companies with their voluntary and environmental, social, and governance commitments can, as well with as adopting voluntary sustainability standards, commit and play a big role into implementing the sustainable objective goals that were established by the Agenda 2030. But it's important to bear in mind that it's not only about making what the law orders, but doing more. So integrated the stakeholders' engagements and protections with the less corruption, more transparent methods, and also reducing the impact on environment. In doing so, these responsible commercial attitudes are very effective, can be very effective. And also, it's important to highlight the voluntary sustainability standards that nowadays we have. We are currently tracking more than 450 standards. It's a huge number of different regulations and quality standards that we have, and from different countries and different sectors. But having in mind, we have to have in mind that most of them are related to forestry and agriculture, as we are talking about in this moment. The brown circle is the voluntary sustainability standards on forestry. The green and colorful under here are on agriculture, and we see that forestry corresponds to the most certified biomass that we have nowadays, and agriculture as well a lot. And organic specific, the green one, is the most certified materials that we have. These are the products that those 14 major voluntary sustainability standards are on: bananas, oil, palm oil, cocoa, soybean, coffee, sugarcane, coffee, and tea. And another is the intensification. We can produce more without any area. So the LULUCF, the land use and land use change, is a topic that we have to change our idea about it, because we have to regenerate and intensify the production, not deforest and produce on those native vegetation areas. So, and it is possible. And this only this specific area talking about in global emissions correspond to 23% of the emissions. This is taking into account the not only the CO2 but also the nitrous oxide that correspond to the use of chemical fertilizers as well, and the methane from the cattle that we normally put in this deforested area. So we have to change that, not deforest, and we think the way we produce to intensify the production, produce more in less area with less residues and less inputs, and also regenerate the massive area that we have that now are totally degraded and can be, it is feasible, not impossible or extremely pricey to regenerate. So we can, and we have to have this in mind. So is it easy? No, of course it's not. We have to rethink our economy to create incentives and law enforcement to nudge the economic actors into the positive environmental and social and governance way. We have to better precify, because if we don't have the right value, it's hard to the economy to and the law contracts to coordinate something that has no value. So we have to put a lot of effort to example, create carbon credits, carbon taxes. This is very important and useful and can be very impactful. The voluntary market and the regulated market of carbon and the environmental service have to increase. Also, public nudges and incentives to facilitate the adoption of voluntary sustainability standards. Bear in mind that they normally have a price conformity. It is pricey to adapt to what the standards ask. So government could facilitate this and make more broadly available to small producers, the SMEs and small and medium-sized enterprises, to have the benefits of these standards. Also, traceability. We have to, if we're talking about incentives and economic incentives and carbon credit, traceability is fundamental. The whole credibility of the system depends on this. We have technology that can facilitate this, and more creative and participatory designs of policies can foster these new ideas. So basically what we have to think and try to implement is to use the raw material the less we can, process it in a very effective and technological way to to use the best of it, have products that are reusable and recyclable and can become raw material again. So this is the challenge and the design that we are challenged to create, not only to the agri systems, but also to the economy as a whole. That was what I had planned for today.
Hey everyone.
Thank you.
So first, it is a pleasure to be here with us and participate in the event Worldwide Teaching in Climate Justice. I will talk about voluntary sustainability standards and effects on trade. So I am Michele Marcia Viana Martins. I am economist, master scientist in economy, and PhD in applied economics. I am professor at the Federal University of Viçosa, UFV in Brazil. Also, I am researcher at the Institute of Applied Economic Research, IPE, of Ministry of Economy, also in Brazil. And my research area are international trade, agricultural policy, and environment. So the central question is, would you like to make a climate a class? And I want to make climate and ensure to diabetes. So climate change, I will talking about climate change in the context of the standards. The first question I will answer is, what is voluntary sustainable standard, or VSS, and what are the relationship with climate change? The next question, what are certification and how do they guarantee environmental aspects? The last one, what are the challenges for the implementation of VSS considering the trade in goods? So here we have the first question, what are VSS and what are their relationship with climate change? So guys, VSS takes on different names used as synonyms. We have voluntary sustainability standards, or just VSS, standards, systems, private standards, certifications, or eco-labels. Here, first, VSS are innovative market-based approach to promoting sustainable production and business practices. Okay, the second, standard systems, highlights that these instruments rely on more than just the standards itself, the list of required practices of performance levels to drive change. Here we have private standards, highlights the non-governmental nature of these systems. Here shows why private standards is different public standards. Okay, certification is a particular approach to assuring that products are actually produced in accordance with the standards, and eco-labels is the use of eco or sustainability in the name, differentiates voluntary sustainability standards from other similar non-governmental market-based initiatives that are not focused on addressing sustainability concerns. Okay, so we have here different terminologies to VSS. And what is the relationship with climate change? So it's important to say VSS systems are no government initiatives that seek to drive sustainable production and consumption by creating marketing demand for sustainable products and a supply to meet that demand, you know? So they help buyers, both consumers and business, identify sustainable produced products, and they guide producers, forest managers, mine and tourism operator, also factories owner and others in the choice of sustainable practices. So it's an important marketing mechanism for driving sustainability, and the world of standards is rapidly innovating and evolving. In this context, we have partnering with standard system helps reduce a risks of exposure of unsustainable practices in their supply chains, where one example of bad practices highlighted in the media can significantly damage brand value. This is so important. So standard systems with consumer-facing labels also offer the potential to market certain values to consumer and to potentially recover higher costs of procurement. To finalize, global brands use different sustainability standards and different products in order to appeal to different consumer groups. Okay? About the climate change, VSS have relationship in agriculture. So this is because where climate change, land use pressure, and aging farming population threaten to reduce supplies. Here we have companies operating in these sectors, CVSS helping the secure sustainable supply in the future in 3 ways. First, by addressing sustainability issues, environmental problems that limit production, vulnerability to climate change, and farmer incomes. They will make the production more viable into the future and help ensure continued supply. Second step, the standard system itself creates a link between productions and buyers, which can help ensure a particular company's access to the supply they need. And the last one, having made this link, can help to drive changes in the production level, where the longer term relationship can act as reassurance. Their investments in improved practice have an interesting consumer. And so it will be replied a later date. The second question is about what are certifications and how do they guarantee environmental aspects? Certification is as a way for products to reduce information asymmetry and signal to consumers about the quality of their products. It can relate to a particular aspects of the production process or refer to several steps on the production with the consumer. So here I cited a student using ecosystems servers modeling and scenarios analysis of Bom Sucro. Bom Sucro is one of eco labels, the lead VSS for sugarcane production. This is to find that global compliance with Bom Sucro environmental standards would reduce current sugarcane production area in minus 24%, net tonnage in minus 11%, irrigation water use minus 65%, nutrient loading minus 34%, and greenhouse gas emission for cultivation on minus 51%. Here, in this study that I cited, voluntary sustainability standards could significantly reduce detrimental impacts of global agriculture. This is eco-label Bom Sucro. I talking more about Bom Sucro in this study. So under a scenario of double global sugarcane production, Bom Sucro adoption would further limit water use and greenhouse gas emission by prevent sugarcane expansion into water-stressed and high carbon stock ecosystems. So this is climate change. Central talking about climate change. This outcome was achieved via expansion largely on existing agricultural lands. It finds that over half of the potential direct environmental benefits of Bom Sucro standards and the double scenario could be achieved by targeting adoption in just 10 of global sugarcane production areas. Okay, so Bom Sucro is a very important eco-labels to help climate change and help the world sustainability things in general. Here we have many eco-labels that existing. We have Rainforest Alliance, Global Gap, Fairtrade, Bom Sucro, Fairtrade here, Bom Sucro, and others. The next question is about what are the challenges for the implementation of VSS considering the trade in goods? We have three mainly challenges. First, compliance costs. Adopt VSS, alter, change production, and these change of production have a costs, compliance costs, and this increase in costs can correspond to a loss of competitiveness for more sustainable products, thus generating a disincentive to the adoption. So we have to consider the higher costs to compliance. Second point is about institutional design. With more certification, this is a tendency to decrease the price margin that can be charged for the higher quality products, and their benefits become just a guarantee of purchase by a dominant company and reduction of the opportunity costs with inventory, for example. And the last point is about stringency. The VSS must be more comprehensive than the public standards. To add quality, it's not enough just to comply with the law. We need involves additional elements. So private standards may include specifics and additional attributes to products, and requirements may be stricter or more to have more rigor, more extensive than those defined by public authority. And this is the most accepted perspective on the relationship between private and public standards. So guys, this is all. I hope you like this presentation, and we need to save the world.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Jessica Suárez Campoli. Nosotros somos aquí de la Universidad de São Paulo, de la Luis de Queiroz College of Agriculture. Y vamos a presentar un poco de nuestro trabajo, los métodos que utilizamos para hacer indicadores de sustentabilidad, y vamos a presentar de una forma un resumen de un paper que hicimos de la eficiencia de los grupos de los 20, que son los países más poderosos económicamente, sobre la perspectiva de la economía circular, utilizando el análisis envolvente de datos. Voy a hablar un poco más sobre mí. Yo hice toda mi carrera en la Universidad de São Paulo, estudié economía, hice la maestría en ingeniería de producción y ahora el doctorado en economía aplicada. Nuestras áreas de investigación son eficiencia de políticas públicas, economía de desarrollo, economía agrícola, economía circular, como ese paper que vamos a presentar, sustentabilidad, análisis envolvente de datos y econometría. Sigue mi correo para quien quiera ahí contactarme. Entonces nosotros utilizamos esos métodos, econometría, el análisis envolvente de datos y el índice de productividad Malmikiste, que es lo que vamos a presentar en este paper. Yo también trabajé en el Ministerio de Economía de Brasil con sustentabilidad. Son papers que van a ser publicados todavía acerca del carbono, de la Amazonia y del gasto público, de la eficiencia de gastos públicos en infraestructura. Entonces, somos un grupo ahí de sustentabilidad. Y sigue nuevamente mi correo. Volviendo al tema del paper, voy a presentar de una forma muy corta. Es la eficiencia del grupo de los 20 acerca de la economía circular utilizando el análisis envolvente de datos. La presentación va a comenzar con la contextualización, los procedimientos metodológicos, resultados y la conclusión. La contextualización. En razón de nuestro modelo socioeconómico como mundial, tenemos ahí algunos problemas de desequilibrios ambientales y nuevas alternativas de soluciones para, o sea, más consistentes con el desarrollo sostenible están llegando, que llevan a reflexiones acerca de la capacidad del mundo a seguir con ese modelo socioeconómico y preocupaciones de las consecuencias de esas decisiones. Una de las alternativas es la economía circular, que consiste ahí en una filosofía de mantener más los recursos, los productos, el capital natural, la optimización de producción. La economía circular es un concepto que todavía se está estructurando y puede ser investigada a nivel micro, como en empresas, en la industria principalmente, y también a nivel macro, como hacemos acá en nuestro paper. Entonces, en razón de la importancia de la actividad económica, seleccionamos el grupo de los 20, que son Argentina, Australia, Brasil, Canadá, China, Francia, Alemania, India, Indonesia, Italia, Japón, Corea del Sur, Rusia, Estados Unidos, México, Arabia Saudita, África del Sur, Turquía y Reino Unido, además de los países de la Unión Europea, porque son responsables por el 85% de la economía mundial y más del 63% de la población mundial. Y seguramente las políticas ambientales que están se desarrollando en esos países, seguramente es de donde va a seguir al mundo. Entonces el objetivo fue calcular un ranking de eficiencia de esos países acerca de la economía circular, directamente más al sector de energía. En el periodo de 2010 a 2014 nosotros ya estamos actualizando los datos. Es una investigación hecha antes, ¿no?, de la pandemia. Y utilizamos ahí, utilizamos muchos métodos econométricos, pero para esa investigación el análisis envolvente de datos y el índice Malmikiste. Entonces los procedimientos metodológicos. Primero vamos a hacer la validación econométrica y del modelo de eficiencia. En un modelo de eficiencia o de sistemas productivos, siempre tenemos las entradas, que son los inputs, y las que pasan por procesos, por transformaciones, y ahí tenemos las salidas, que son los outputs. Entonces, como el análisis envolvente de datos es una herramienta no paramétrica, nosotros nos apoyamos en la econometría para validar los inputs y los outputs. Una vez que tenemos la eficiencia, vamos a investigar la eficiencia en el periodo. Lo que pasó de 2014, o sea, del 2010 hasta 2014. Y utilizamos para poner ahí la cuestión del tiempo, el índice de Malmikiste, de productividad, donde la productividad es medida acerca de ganos de la eficiencia, de la propia eficiencia que el país va ganando o no en el tiempo, o acerca de los cambios tecnológicos, del proceso tecnológico que el país también va así logrando al pasar del tiempo. Aquí está el modelo donde los inputs son energía, consumo de energía de combustibles fósiles. Los outputs son el PIB, Producto Interno Bruto, las emisiones de carbono y el consumo de energía renovable. La parte de la economía circular está más ahí en la cuestión de la energía renovable. A los resultados, entonces, es esa tabla que el análisis envolvente de datos traduce ahí. La performance y el desempeño de los países y también el índice de productividad Malmquist, que es separado en cambios de eficiencia y cambios tecnológicos. Nosotros vemos como países eficientes Reino Unido, Estados Unidos, Japón, Francia, China, Unión Europea, Australia, India, Argentina y Brasil. Y eso nos hace investigar un poco más de lo que pasa en esos países. Nuestro estudio muestra que Reino Unido fue el país que más ganó progreso en razón de cambios tecnológicos de los eficientes. India, Argentina y Brasil reducieron su índice de productividad Malmquist, una vez que cuando es abajo 100% significa eso, que en ese periodo 2010-2014, eso ha pasado en esos países y especialmente Brasil y India son eficientes porque tienen la energía renovable, un percentual grande, y también Estados Unidos, China, por la cuestión del Producto Interno Bruto. Esas son las explicaciones un poco más superficiales de nuestro estudio. Entonces la eficiencia fue del 72 hasta el 76%, y de los países ineficientes, o sea, con la eficiencia bajo 50% tenemos México, Rusia, Corea del Sur y Arabia Saudita. Son países que tienen la matriz energética proveniente de combustibles fósiles, Rusia y Arabia Saudita. Vemos que Corea fue el país que más conquistó ganos de eficiencia, aumentando más de 243%. Y tuvo aquí un alto índice Malmquist. Después del Reino Unido es el país que más tiene ganos de productividad. Y Alemania vemos que no fue eficiente en el periodo, pero tiene también aquí un expresivo gano de productividad por la tecnología y de ganos en la eficiencia. Bueno, esas informaciones, ese modelo de investigación puede servir para políticas públicas, gobiernos, tomadas de decisiones para aumentar la presencia de la economía circular en estos países. Los países eficientes pueden ser benchmarks, que son los modelos, la referencia para otros países, y aquellos que son muy ineficientes pueden ser más investigados para identificar, entender las razones de eso y cómo mejorar su eficiencia. Bueno, nuestra investigación está muy en línea con el 7º SDG, energía limpia, pero también hacemos investigaciones acerca de infraestructura acá, del 6º, y del número 12 y 13 también, que tienen correlación con con la economía circular, que es nuestro tema de investigación. No menos importante, ese tema de energía seguramente va a ser muy discutido acá en ese meeting, en esa conferencia. Y tenemos ahí ese escenario difícil entre Rusia y Ucrania, que impacta a otros países de Europa. Y lo que se ve es que seguramente esa cuestión va a llevar a Europa a acelerar sus políticas y sus tecnologías para una energía renovable, más limpia o otras formas de energía. Yo agradezco mucho la atención. Sigue nuevamente mi email.
Em seu encontro participativo, você discutiu ações concretas sobre como avançar em sua comunidade. O tempo é curto para o clima e para a justiça. Ajude os outros a passar do desespero climático para a ação climática. Como os jovens dizem, agora, não no próximo mês, não no próximo ano. Vamos todos nos comprometer hoje e agora juntos para um futuro justo e sustentável para as pessoas do planeta. Obrigada a todos por se tornarem líderes em clima e justiça.
Thank you all for becoming leaders on climate and justice.
जलवायु और न्याय पर वर्ल्ड वाइड टीचिंग